This is it, guys. This is it, guys. This is England versus Germany. This is England versus Germany. This is England versus Germany in a major tournament. This is England versus Germany in the round of 16 of Euro 2020. This is a generational football match. This is Southgate's date with destiny. This is our date with destiny. Demons must be crushed. And I think it's our turn. In this video, this England versus Germany preview, we're going to talk about it all. We're going to talk about just how big this game is. I've got a message for the players, for Gareth, for you. We're going to talk about 4-3-3. We're going to talk about 4-2-3-1. We're going to talk about how Southgate will probably set up. We're going to talk about how I would set up. We're going to talk about how 3-4-3 is not going to work in this game against Germany. We're going to talk about all of that. We're going to talk about the key battles. Goossens. We're going to talk about Havertz. We're going to talk about Hummels and Ginter. We're going to talk about all of it. And it's going to be nerve-wracking. Before we get into that, two things. First of all, I need a bit of light relief. So please, if you're behind me, if you're with me, as I've said previously, if you think it's our turn, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and enjoy this little bit of light relief from a naive James before he started getting nervous, before we get into the strengths and weaknesses. I'll tell you what does have a whole host of strengths and no weaknesses. Today's sponsor. I'd like to thank today's sponsor for allowing me to secure the bag. Big thank you to Pouch, and with Pouch, you can secure the bag too. Pouch is a free desktop browser extension that automatically finds and applies the best discount codes when you're shopping online. I can vouch for Pouch. Recently, I was shopping online. I was looking at the Foot Asylum website, and as soon as I went to check out because I was buying a Nike hoodie, Pouch popped up and automatically added a 10% discount code, which saved me money. Securing bag. Don't say ouch, get Pouch. If you're from the UK, you have to get Pouch. It's an absolute no-brainer. The reason you want to get Pouch is because it works on 3,000 UK sites, the likes of Nike, ASOS, Adidas, which is more than any similar extensions in the UK. You can save money from your couch with Pouch. As I said previously, Pouch is completely free and it takes just a couple of clicks to install. It takes seconds. The only thing you've got to remember is to make sure you pin it to your browser once you've installed it. Don't be a slouch. Get Pouch. Joking aside, guys, it is so wonderful to be getting sponsors on the channel, and in particular to be working with Pouch, because what Pouch does is it allows you guys to save some money. So thank you so much for supporting me and allowing this to happen. Massive thank you to Pouch as well. And if you do want to continue supporting me, then please do consider taking a look at the link in the description and downloading, because it is completely free and it will save you money. So don't be a grouch. Secure the bag, like me, with Pouch. Do it right now. Link is in the description. You are so lucky. In fact, you've had a right touch. You've had a right touch. Support the channel and save yourself some moolah with Pouch. Link's in the description. Do me a favour. Click on it. Please. So here we go, guys. Southgate's date with destiny. And our date with destiny, guys. And look, first things first, let's draw a line. The group stage is over. Didn't concede a goal, but we didn't play that well. We didn't score a goal. Doesn't matter. What matters is the here and now. What matters is 5 p.m. at Wembley and getting a result. And getting past this game. Because this isn't a round of 16 game. Legitimately, and this will sound patronising to the other teams in the competition, but this game is huge because really, if you can get past this, you have such an opportunity of getting to the final of Euro 2020. And then who knows what could happen. But we've got to get through this game first. So how do we do it? First things first is going to have a look at the lineups, what Southgate's going to do, what he could do, and the strengths and weaknesses of those things. I'm going to kick off with 3-4-3 because 3-4-3 is a real option for us. It's something that I initially, as soon as we got Germany, I thought, yep, let's go with that. And something that England have kind of dabbled with a little bit, but not totally. I mean, first of all, if we look at Germany, they have played this way all 3 games. And we know and we expect them to play this way. I think the only change that you could make is quite possibly bringing in Goretzka, but then you've maybe got to drop someone. You've maybe got to go to a normal back four, which doesn't mean that you get the best out of Kimmich. So I expect Germany to play this exact way. The big conversation is England. How do England play? Who do England play? And how do they play? I think that makes sense. So if we play a 3-4-3, my problem with a 3-4-3 is this. Is if we drop back and we're concerned with Gosens at the back post, Kimmich getting there, and the space out wide, what could really easily happen is this. We become a 5-4-1, which I don't want to see. I don't want that to happen, and I think we're better than this. I think we can play, and I think we can play in transition. The big thing in this game is transition for England. Germany will have the ball. They will have the ball. The big thing for us is, can we stop them when they do have the ball? It's really interesting to look at sort of their passing throughout the tournament. They've been probably one of the best passers in terms of going side to side to side to side to side. And, you know, that's great if there is then space in between the kind of little lanes, right? But this is a game against Hungary. And what Hungary did, let's have a look at Hungary first, is they defended really, you know, quite deep. They played with a 3, played with a 5, and that was fine. And on the counter-attack, they were still able to get in behind them. But I just think we're better than that. I really do think we're better than that. And I think going forward, when we're playing at Wembley, and I'm going to be there, guys. I'm going to be at Wembley. I can't get my head around it. So I will be singing for you guys, I promise. In a game like this, I think we've got a little bit more to offer. And I worry that we would get isolated. Because although they were defending deep like that, Hungary were happy to do that. We're better than that. We are better than that. But we do need to be able to stop them in those areas as well. But we need them to be concerned with England's midfield as much as anything as well. And interestingly, although they were able to stop them, what Germany had to do is throw the kitchen sink at Hungary. Have a look at this. This is once the substitutions have been made. Now, of course, there's going to be too many players here, and a lot of these players came off. The likes of Gundogan and Havertz came off. But have a look at this. They had to really, really go for it. So there is merit in this 3-4-3. It just feels massively, massively negative to me, and I don't think it's what we should do. I think we should be a bit braver than this, because I think going forward at Wembley, I think the crowd, I mean, I won't, but the crowd will turn on us if we're not even looking exciting in transition. And also, I think with the back line that has so little pace, I think if it gets to this and then the ball, you know, comes out and we're able to play, Kane can hold up the ball, but I think it takes too long to get players up the pitch and to hurt the opposition if we have to sort of defend like this. Also, you're going 2-on-2 with Kroos and Phillips, really, against Gundogan going up against Rice and Phillips. And I think Kane would just be dropping deep in as well. And then we've just got a really, really deep side that kind of suits this back line of Germany. I think it's negative. And I think we can be better than that. And I think we can get them to be concerned about us as much as us being concerned about them. So I don't think this works. If we're matching up Germany, we're going toe-to-toe with them to nullify them, and they score within 10 minutes. Of course, he will make that change. But I think in terms of the kind of, I don't know, psychological state of the team, when you've gone, right, we're going to play this plan, and then it goes so wrong so quickly, you're then going to have to make a change to go to a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3. So for me, it doesn't work. It won't work in this game, despite me initially thinking it would do. Now, question for you guys, and I want everyone to get in the comments for 2 reasons. First of all, I want to see your lineup. I'm intrigued. I'm fascinated. But secondly, I think what it will highlight for everyone else reading through those comments is that there are so many options for Gareth. And so he has to do what he thinks is right. But this is my opinion. I don't think 3-4-3 works in this game, personally. The second option is to go with a 4-3-3. Now, if we're going to play a 4-3-3, the reason to do that is to deal with Kai Havertz. Now, Kai Havertz, he drops into different areas. And what's really interesting about his heat map from the game against Hungary is that not just on the right-hand side, but on the left-hand side as well, he gets himself involved. Let's have a look. If you scroll down here, you can see, here is his heat map against Hungary. Yes, he's on this right-hand side, but he's also popping up on this left-hand side, sort of dropping in to create overloads to help out the team. And again, one of the maybe weaknesses of Germany is that, yes, they are very fluid, and you can see that from this, but they haven't got a ginormous amount of thrust or a real attacking pace, aside from Gnabry, Werner, who doesn't really start these games. Maybe he does, but I don't think he will. Sane as well, who did start the game against Hungary, but I would expect Müller to come back into the team. So it's about kind of movement. And Havertz, although he's a big guy and does have an element of pace, again, it's his movement that makes him pretty special a lot of the time. So we need to be able to kind of deal with another player from the forward line dropping into these spaces. And that might be the reason why. And I think Wayne Rooney has gone with a 4-3-3 in terms of the team that he wants to see for this game. Let's have a look. So if you play a 4-3-3, the question then becomes is that you take out a fullback, you play 4, obviously Stones. I would expect it to be this back 4, and then you play one more attacking player, and that midfield player. Now the leadership, the captain's choice is Henderson. Henderson would go in, he would keep an eye. He'd also work. He offers that kind of ability on the right hand side. Now I know Phillips has done it as well. Maybe Phillips is good enough to come on this left-hand side. I think there's a little bit of imbalance here in terms of being able to go forward in any way, but maybe Phillips can do it on this left-hand side. Maybe you could do it with Mount as well and just ask Mount to be a bit more defensive in how he plays. But really, if you're going to do this, what you're really doing is stopping the attacking press, the counter press, of Germany, because that's what Germany want to do. They play with a very, very high line, play with a really high line. And so what they want to happen is they want someone to get the ball to feet so that they can then close in and look to press them. We look to move them high. This is how they will play. Gnabry will be up here in these areas. Kroos will be getting on the ball. Gundogan in midfield. It's quite an attacking way of playing that they play. It really is. And it's that high line that we can get at. And so there is merit in this one. I don't hate this one, but it's quite a defensive approach. It's a bit like I think how we played against Spain, where they're going to look to counter-press. So if you look to play these players in, then Gundogan goes in. Kroos looks to stop them. Ginter will be on their player. Kimmich looks to stop it. Havertz maybe looks to sort of, create that counter-press as well. So what we would need to do as a team is to beat that counter-press, is to hit Kane and to have players going forward. Wayne Rooney's actually gone with Rashford up front instead of Foden. Again, for that exact same reason, what was so devastating against Spain, and I think actually Rashford might have played on the left in that game, Sterling on the right-hand side, is that you have those players that can run into these spaces. You could do the exact same with Foden as well, because Foden likes to kind of run into these areas, and then he could look to play Sterling in as well, or Rashford. It would be a brave call. It would be new personnel, would be surprised by that as well. But what you do have is that, again, you might have that problem where these players come back a little bit too much. But I think if you've got 3 of these defensive players, really it kind of creates that freedom for these guys to just do their own thing up top. It also might kind of bring out the best in what Harry Kane does. It might be a bit more of a kind of Spurs way of playing where again, you might even play Trippier instead of Walker here as someone who's a better passer of the ball and look to get that ball into Kane so that he can play him here, or Sterling going beyond and really attack this back 3. Hummels and Ginter. That's one of the key battles for me, because Rudiger has that pace to get himself out of trouble. But Ginter and Hummels, and if we think about what Sterling's done well for us so far, he's been able to get beyond those players. And with the high line that they play, and I'll go back to it actually again, because I think it is worth showing, what you'll see is that the high line of Germany, really, really high. I mean, this is against Hungary. Look how high they're playing for the bulk of the game. It's really impressive. But even in the Portugal game, which we can probably find as well, again, it's pretty high, really. It's really, really high, actually, to be honest. If you think about how Belgium played against Portugal last night, they were around here a lot of the time, their defensive line, because they were concerned about their pace. But for Germany, I think it's about control. And because of that lack of legs in Gundogan, Kroos, and then the back 3, Hummels and Ginter, they're looking to kind of press high, keep the ball up there to give themselves a better chance of doing bits. So there's real merit in this one. It does feel defensive, but in transition, which is where England win the game, I think, in transition, quick turnovers, using the engine room of Rice and Phillips, this is where England win this game. But it's then in that transition and having that quality. So this is the way that Wayne Rooney wants them to play. Oh, I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. But I would try something different. Now on to what I think Gareth will do. I think because of these same reasons, I think he will stick with a 4-2-3-1. And I would play a 4-2-3-1 as well. Let me know what you think, guys. Henderson will not start. I think he'll stick with Phillips and Rice. And I think there's been a lot of talk about Mount and Foden. Let's not lose that. Hang on. Let's get rid of that. I think he'll go with what's worked so far. Sterling. I think he'll bring Foden back into the fray. I think he'll have Kane here. And I think then he's got a huge decision. I think he wants to play Mount. I think he's desperate to play Mount. If you stop Kroos, in my opinion, you've got a real shot at stopping Germany. Because for them, really, in the game so far, it's been a lot about control. The Hungary game, Kroos had 123 touches, 98 successful passes, which is 92%, which is pretty special, and registered 4 key passes. Of all those players, I think it really reveals it. Again, you saw it in the Portugal-Belgium game. The players that don't come off when you've got 5 substitutes, that really highlights who the key men are. And Kroos didn't come off. Pretty much every other player did come off in that game. So if you can stop Kroos, and that might be where he might think about Mount from a defensive point of view, and in terms of stopping maybe the passing lanes into the likes of Havertz, the likes of Kimmich, and just generally, his pressing and defensive work is so good. But what he might do, Mount, is that he might not offer as much going forward again. And so what you might have, and maybe you could see this as a positive, that Mount can offer that element of being kind of a bit more of a hybrid than Grealish, who's a far more attacking player. But with Kroos, I think what's also going to be interesting is keep an eye out on goal kicks. Because if you put Phillips on Kroos on goal kicks, I think Phillips wins those headers most of the time. And from there, you then might be able to really create a set piece almost from, a pattern of play from the goalkeeper. Pickford looking for Phillips, Phillips winning that header against Kroos, playing it to Kane or Foden or whoever, and then maybe we can really start something from there. So keep an eye on that as well. But I think this is what Southgate will do. I think he wants to play Mount, and this is just a personal call now that he has to make. Do you play Mount despite the fact that he hasn't been training with the team, or do you bring in Grealish because of that movement that was so great? The other big talking point is Saka. Saka was really great against the Czechs, man of the match performance. Foden came out. The idea there was that if they didn't want him to have another booking, and he has been a bit. I think overall he has ultimately been disappointing for England. And the final thing that you've got to keep in mind with all of this is that this is a 90-minute game. This is about getting to halftime and not losing. It really is, because that pressure does build. Now, a problem with England is that I think I saw a stat where we haven't scored, I think it might have been 11 games or something, or 8 knockout games. Tournament games after the 62nd minute, or competitive games, something like that, right? So we haven't scored many goals in the second half of games, and that needs to change. Because although we might come out with gusto, I'll be surprised. I think it'll be a bit more about being kind of careful and then hoping that we can get something on the transitions with the fantastic attacking players that we've got. So he's got this big decision to make. I think he really likes Saka, and I would not be surprised if he plays him. And the reason for that is because of Goossens. Goossens is another key battle, and how we stop him is going to be really integral in this game. I think Walker will play against Goossens if we play a 4 at the back, and I wouldn't be surprised if he played Saka instead of Foden in this game just because of that. But I think deep down, I think what he's got, the decision he has to make is, yes, there are kind of horses for courses, but I think he backs Foden's talent. I think he really does back Foden's talent. The other little curveball that he might throw in is playing Saka and playing Foden in this area instead of Grealish or Mount. Because I think he has got a good understanding of how to press. He knows Gundogan and how he plays as well. And so there might be some elements of that he might want. And in terms of him driving at the heart of the opposition as a dribbler, I think he's a better dribbler than Mount. So that is another option for Southgate to take. But I do think that you can then have 3-on-2 in the middle here. And I think as much as we're concerned about them, I think they've got to be a little bit concerned about us as well. You could stop some passing lanes with Foden as well, or whoever plays in that position as well. But there is a problem with Goossens. And we want to be able to get in behind this area of Goossens and this area of Kimmich for both sides of the pitch. And that is where I like the idea of Saka. So here is my team that I would personally put forward. I would play 4-2-3-1, and I would go that little bit more attacking than Southgate. He might not do it, and that's why I think he wants to play Mount instead of Grealish. But I would play Grealish, and I would play Saka. And I would be excited by what Rashford can bring, what Foden can bring off the bench. I think there's a massive shout for Sancho, but I don't think he'll do it because he's a great dribbler. But Saka's a great dribbler, and defensively, I think he offers so much against Gosens. In the last game, 6 progressive carries in that game. Also 9 pressures in the defensive third as well, which I think is really important when you've got this, flooding of movement, I guess, from Muller and Havertz. Walker can then tuck in a little bit. Saka can play here and go one-on-one and deal with that threat and be aware of that threat as well. But he's also got that ability to both drive in the sort of inside lane and bring in other players, but also just play as an out-and-out winger. And that is a weakness of Gosens. Massive weakness of Gosens is the fact that he gets dribbled past a hell of a lot. Gosens has been dribbled past twice in this tournament so far, and he hasn't actually made a tackle on a dribbler so far. Now, this is a tiny amount of data that you've got for that. So if you have a look at the last season of Serie A, he was dribbled past 30 times and had tackles versus dribblers success percentage of 26.8%. That is not good at all. So as good as he is going forward, and we've got to be aware of that threat, and I think that's why you play Saka and Walker, because you've got someone who's kind of a bit of a hybrid wide forward, but also someone who can play wing back as well. And Walker can play that little bit more narrow to deal with other players. But he also is able to get forward and dribble against them one-on-one. You saw it for the goal against the Czech Republic. I think he offers so much. And he can get at Gosens as well if it's up here in this area of the pitch as well. If he goes one-on-one here, I back him. Looking at those stats, there's no reason why he can't get at him and make a real difference there as well. The other big talking point, I guess, is from my team is to play Grealish. And the reason I do that is because I think these two, I want them to be concerned with the defensive side of the game. Because that's, I think, what Southgate has been working towards this whole time, right? They've got great energy, stamina, legs. What an engine room we've got there. And Rice is going to have to come over here and help a lot of the time. And Grealish is going to have to put the work in. So there is a decision to make. And if he plays Mount or he plays Foden because he's going to get that little bit more work rate, I can live with it. But I want us to go and beat them. And I think there's a mix between playing as a team and having individuals that can change it. And I think Grealish is that. And the final thing that I think is the biggest thing with Grealish, it's so important, is that he freezes the opposition. And he sucks in players as well. And he has that bubble. There are players that have that bubble. Like players like Ronaldinho had that bubble. Eze has that bubble. Tarapt has that bubble from that QPR perspective. Those kind of players. Do you know what I mean? Those players that go, I don't want to get too close to him. Messi, of course, has that bubble. I'm not comparing those guys. But you know what I mean, right? Those players that go, do I really want to engage with these players? But he's coming straight at me, so I'm going to have to do something. That's what Grealish provides. And that's why Grealish has to play. Because if the ball comes to him, yes, defensively, even if it's here, or even if he comes over here and Sterling comes and does that defensive work, which he does a lot of the time, if wherever Grealish gets the ball, he's going to both suck in players who go, I need to go towards him, or he will freeze them. And what it can do, if you've got Grealish who gets the ball in these areas of space, instead of Kane dropping in, if Kane drops in and you don't have that kind of player, right, Hummels is fine. Or if anything, if he's concerned about these players, as soon as Kane drops deep, he retreats. Because he knows that Kane's not going to hurt you from there. And he's going to be looking for those passes. If Kane is there and Grealish is involved, and Grealish both has the ability to dribble with the ball, to take players out, but also play the passes to Kane, because Kane is keeping Hummels honest in terms of a player going beyond or that movement that comes from him there as well. You then have got Saka going. And importantly, if Grealish picks the ball up on this left-hand side, which he did do a lot, he can dribble inside, and also Sterling has that opportunity to get into that space in behind as well. It's brave because defensively you're not going to get as much, but we've got to be brave now. Now's the time. He is wonderful. He can win us the game. And I think it's worth the risk. It really is worth the risk, in my opinion. If he plays Foden instead, you've got a similar thing that you can do, and I can live with it. Mount, again, it's more defensively, but I love Mount. I can live with it. But I do hope we play 4-2-3-1 against this team, because we can do it, lads and ladies. Sorry. It's on. It's on. It is on, guys. And my message to England fans first, I tell you what, a sporting life is a great life. And by what I mean by that is that days like this, they don't mean anything to a lot of people. But this is what it's about. I'm going to go to this game, I'm going to stick my chest out, and I'm going to say, it's our turn. Why not? Because if you lose a game, that's one night. We'll get on with it. We'll go again. We know we will. But if we can win, if we can beat Germany, those feelings, you know, be it in your living room with your mates, in a bar with your mates, whatever you're doing, enjoy it. Enjoy this. Because these are the games. This is what sport's about. It's about events. It's about moments. It's about that knife edge of thinking, are we going to beat this lot or not? Have we got a chance or not? So enjoy tomorrow, guys. Or enjoy tonight. Whenever you're watching this video. Get your England shirt on. Stick your chest out. And believe it's our turn. Because if it's not, so what? So what? And I tell you what. Every single one of you England players. Come on now. This is what it's about, guys. What a privilege to play in this game at Wembley. Burn them. Burn them. You're outrageously young. You've got long time ahead of you, guys. The bulk of you. You've got other tournaments. This isn't the last one, but you will never get an opportunity like this again. So Walker, run them into the ground. Fearless concentration from that back line. Come on. Midfield, Phillips, Rice. You're younger, you're fitter. Run Cruz and Gundogan into the ground. Grealish, be a match winner. Kane, be a match winner. It's coming. The goal's coming, Harry. I'm telling you. Saka, enjoy it. Go for it. Fearless. Sterling, you scored 2 goals, mate. Go get yourself another one. They will be afraid of us because we've got quality everywhere. We've got pace everywhere. And it's our turn. It's our turn, man. If you see me at Wembley, I want you to come up to me and simply tell me, Jim, it's our turn. Because if we say it and we believe it, you never know. It might just happen. And if it doesn't, so what? But between now and 10 o'clock when the game ends, this is the bit you get to enjoy. And if it works out, go mad, guys. Go mad. Because then it's on. Then it is on. Bellingham, Rashford, Calvert-Lewin, Foden if you're on the bench, Grealish if you're on the bench, Henderson if you're on the bench, anyone if you're on the bench and you come on, you can be a match winner as well, because I think those changes are going to be huge in this game. Bellingham, I think, has got a part to play if we're winning. He could go to that 4-3-3. I'm so excited. I'm really so excited. And this is it, guys. It's just a game, but I tell you what, it means a lot to all of us. And I'm so excited, guys. I'm so excited. Come on, England. Gareth. Oh, Gareth. Final thing. Gaz. 25 years, mate. And you've shut out the noise very well so far. And it is your judgment day. This is your judgment day. This is your date with destiny. But I'm backing you, mate. I want you to do well. I think most English people do want you to do well. And I think it's years of frustration, which is why we're thinking you're not good enough. We're not good enough. But maybe we are good enough. You can't write it with Southgate. You couldn't. 25 years on from missing that penalty. He gets a chance to lead his country and a group of young men and give them the opportunity to go and... He won't say it. He would never put that pressure on his team. But exercise demons. Exercise some serious demons. And it could not be on more of a knife edge. Because if you go out, you're a failure, you're a fraud, you're useless, you don't know what you're doing, you're not good enough for this level, you shouldn't be in the job. But if you win it, you shut up a lot of people. And I really hope you do, mate. I really hope you do. Come on, England. Come on. It's our turn. Right. Enjoy the game. Please enjoy it. Get stuck in. Get behind the lads. Scream at the telly. Support the boys. If you're at the ground, get behind the lads. They will have the ball. They will have it. We will not have the ball. But I tell you what, we could hurt them on the break. Come on, England. Come on. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you really want to support me and save yourself some money at the same time, download Pouch. It takes a couple of clicks, and as I say, you'll be helping me out. Come on, England. I'll see you on the other side.